Howdy goons! I thought I wasn't going to have any news for you until my device got in, but it looks like we have one more final update. I've recorded this video a few times, new info keeps popping up and I don't want to post anything that's crazy wrong or makes me look stupid. There's still a chance of that, but I'm going to try my best to prevent that. But some backers on the Pocket Air Mini backer page are posting and sharing that their chipset is the MT8185V instead of the advertised G90T. At first, I thought this might be a bait and switch and thus a scam, but I wasn't able to find much information on the MT8185V, so I can't say for sure whether this is actually a scam or not. On one hand, from the one source that I did find, from AliExpress, I did find that the GPU in the MT8185V is half as powerful as the GPU that is in the G90T, but one source isn't very reliable, so I won't be making any hard claims like that. Jelsa on the backer page, however, has said that the 8185 is a version of the G90, which is possible. That could be an internal model name and the handheld is showing that. Someone else has said that the CPU-Z tester says it's a G90, which isn't a G90T. This might still be a bait and switch to you, even though the performance difference wouldn't be noticeable, but this makes sense according to what Jelsa said, a lot. Jelsa copy and pasted this same response multiple times. But Jelsa said both have the same CPU and GPU. The difference is the G90 doesn't have a 4G modem or SIM slot, so this is effectively the G90T, but in a way that makes more sense for handhelds. Like, for them to put a SIM card slot in it and 4G and stuff like that, they would have to get it approved, and that would just slow down the process of releasing it even further. So it totally makes sense that they would switch it for a chipset that doesn't have the 4G modem or the SIM card slot. One of the backers linked to the source that I found from AliExpress that says the GPUs aren't the same in these two chipsets. Mine won't be in until around Tuesday, I'm guessing, so I'll let you know when I get it. I wouldn't say this is a bait and switch to me. It's the same chipset effectively, unless this info on AliExpress is the right info. I don't think AliExpress is probably the best source for this stuff. Regardless, we shouldn't be hearing this stuff from a user on the backer site. This should be coming from Ayaneo themselves. This has been a constant problem with Ayaneo during the backer process. They are always late to responding to stuff. Probably just a time zone thing. They're in China, they are like, 12 hours or something ahead of us. This stuff is ever changing. We got another update right in the middle of me making this video, but apparently this chipset swap is only happening to the non-retro power versions. I got the retro power version, which means mine is probably going to show the actual chipset if this information is correct. And from what I've seen, the screenshot of the few that I've seen, it has been on just the black models that show those different chipsets. So it's entirely possible that it's only happening to the people that got the black model, which is weird because you can still get the black model even though you got the more RAM version. I don't know what to tell y'all. I can't tell y'all until I actually have it in my hands, or I start seeing a lot more screenshots, and all I'm seeing is just a lot of text on the backer page. The other problem we're hearing about, though, is devices not powering on. Multiple backers have received devices that aren't powering on. I'm guessing it's either because of a rush job or because of a bad Android install. When they said that they'd be meeting demand quickly, I was worried, because that means rushing, and rushing means changes and faulty hardware. Like, think of some of the systems that have had the biggest failures ever, like the Xbox 360 or the Game Gear. Those failed because they were rushed, and because they rushed, they did bad jobs on the solders, and there's something wrong with them on the inside. So I don't like to hear that a company's rushing. This is a sort of the straw that broke the camel's back kind of situation. Everyone has been dealing with a lot of minor annoyances from Ayaneo, and they're looking for the final straw. We'll have to see. Personally, if this device is weaker than promised, I'll be keeping it still. I went into buying the PAM with the expectation I wasn't getting what I was promised. I expected the worst, because it would make for a good video. Ayaneo doesn't have a good track record, so I've been skeptical from the very beginning, even right when they were announcing it and saying that it was going to be cheap and could do GameCube for less than $100. I was skeptical. From the start, I paid for this device with my own money to experience what it would be like being an Ayaneo customer. One way or another, I'll have an experience to share. Whether my first impression video is titled positively or negatively is going to depend on Ayaneo. Silver lining though, if the chip isn't what they promised, then I don't have to write that love poem that I promised, so I call that a win. I was expecting a device that will play Dreamcast, N64, PSP, and Saturn, and even if the chipset is weaker, I'll still get that. It'll suck if I can't play GameCube and PS2, but I was doubting it'd be able to do that from the beginning. I'm pretty picky about my emulation performance. I won't play a game unless it runs the same or better as it did on original hardware. But if this thing from AliExpress is correct, the device we're getting is going to be a lot closer to the Nimzy Air X than it is the Ayaneo PAM that we were promised. Anyway, the video will be either I was wrong about Ayaneo, or most disappointing handheld of 2025. If you want to see more Pam stuff, make sure to sub because I'll be streaming an unboxing, first impressions, and setup video the day it comes in. I'll be streaming it here on YouTube so you don't have to go looking for it, and I'll announce the stream through my community tab and Blue Sky. If someone performs a benchmark test on the MT8185V, please let me know, especially if you got screenshots via Blue Sky. I'm nimzynova.bsky.social. I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt. What Jelsa says sounds legit at least. Also, it wouldn't surprise me if the AliExpress source was wrong, but we don't know for sure until I get my hands on it or until we see some benchmarked screens. Either way, make sure to tip your Overlord. I take likes, subs, and an ever-increasing army of disgruntled customers, or members like Dragon Fanatic, Linky, and Willie P. You can join the rest of my stinkers by clicking the join button below, and you'll get an emote next to your name to show your undying loyalty to me, as well as emotes that you can use in comments and live stream chats, all for just $1. But bye for now. I have to go prepare the Doom Ray in case this chipset is actually worse.